We've all gone through seasons when we felt overwhelmed and we felt exhausted by things that were going on in our lives. And this might have been brought about by challenging circumstances in our personal lives, maybe in our families, in our friendships, in our workplace, in the clubs or associations that we belong to, maybe in our neighborhood, maybe within the church itself, and maybe even in our country and even in our world. These are times when you laid down to rest at night and sleep just couldn't come. You turned and you twisted in your bed, and half of the night just was spent in that. When you woke up, your heart started racing again, and your head pounded about the same things that you had in the morning, you had the night before. It is these kinds of situations that the Lord is talking about in the gospel that we've just listened to. When he says that, "Come to me, all of you who labor and are burdened in some way, and I will give you rest." He sends an invitation, and he also makes an offer to us that, "Come to me and let us have an exchange. Give me the burdens that you have, and I will give you my peace." This is what we have in the readings that we've just heard, especially the gospel. Many years ago, a man that I later came to know very closely was falsely accused of murdering his neighbor. This is in Uganda. It all started by a dispute over a piece of property. The Ugandan courts proved beyond reasonable doubt that he did it, and they handed him the death penalty. This man insisted he was innocent, and he appealed this sentence in the higher courts, but the higher courts stayed the sentence, that there was enough evidence that he really did it. So day in and day out, he lived with this cloud of death just hanging over his head. And every time there was an execution in this prison, this big prison in Kampala called the Ruzira, he knew that his time had come. He couldn't sleep. And it's under these circumstances that he joined a Catholic prison ministry run by the Franciscans in this big prison in Uganda. These Franciscans, they helped to lead him to God, and he was able to process his anger. He worked on forgiveness. They helped him find meaning in the circumstances that he was going through, and he was able to find peace, to be at peace with himself and the circumstances that he was in. So after 18 years on death row, the man he was supposed to have killed or murdered showed up in another part of the country. He showed up, he wasn't dead. He had moved to a different part of the country. That is why I personally do not support the death penalty, because the criminal justice system is sometimes overrated. It can make mistakes too. So that's why I just don't support that. So this friend of mine appealed against the death penalty, and he was freed, and he has served for so many years as a catechist, primarily in prisons. Can you imagine 18 years on death row? What kept him going in this prison? How did he manage to keep his sanity and his peace? He attributes it all to finding God early while he was in prison. And through this relationship with God and an active prayer life, he was able to find peace under these circumstances that he was going through. For those 18 years, the burden that was imposed upon him by somebody else did not necessarily go away. He was in prison still, but it didn't crush him. The Lord helped to lighten the burden that he was carrying through all these 18 years that he was there. Today is a good day for us to ask ourselves, is there any burden that I'm carrying in my personal life, or in where I'm working, or where in the community where I live? Is there something in heaven for which you need a little bit of help at this particular time? The answer that we have and the Lord that the Lord gives us is constantly bring it to the Lord in prayer. Constantly keep bringing it before him. Seek his help and ask him to have this exchange happen in his life. The first reading drawn from the book of the prophet Isaiah has said something very important for us that we need to pay attention to. Said something about God that is very important. That the Lord that we worship is the eternal God, is the creator of the end of the earth. He does not faint nor grow weary, and his knowledge is beyond scrutiny. He gives strength to the fainting. To the weak he makes vigor abound in them. Though young men faint and grow weary, and youth stagger and fall, they that hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar as with eagle's wings. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not grow faint. That's important for us to keep remembering. The Lord be with you.
And with you, Spirit.